So where can you find life's inspiration in this next astrological new year? Solar ingress, Aries reset button, non-human entities, interstellar objects and beings. There will be somebody new in the White House. The prophets and seers who can see the writing on the old wall, they're getting shut down. I think you're going to see a lot of women with some rage that's not so suppressed. I want to tell you some good news. Guess what? In astrological terms, we're celebrating the increase of light. War connected to sea and ocean, and that would include China and Taiwan, flaring perhaps. But if you don't know that stuff yet, stay in your happy cocoon.
Lunatic Astrology.
Welcome to the Astrological New Year. This is every single year we move into the spring season, the Vernal Equinox, and we turn a new chapter. And the chapter is literally like New Year's, celebrations in the regular Julian calendar. But in astrological terms, we're celebrating the increase of light. This Western Tropical Zodiac Astrology is a symbolic sky. It talks to us in the language of dark and in the language of light. And as we come off the winter solstice, where we have the darkest, longest days of the year in the northern hemisphere, we are now beginning to see the turning point where the light will begin to increase to its highest, longest days of the summer solstice. So now the lighter, longer days are arriving and the light is returning. In this symbolic sky this year, we have a picture of the sky, and it's literally what happens when that sun crosses the 0 degrees of Aries. And as it enters 0 Aries, you can make a chart for Washington, D.C. or Tel Aviv or Tehran, and you can tell stories about what might happen in the year, astrological new year that follows. This is a very accurate forecasting tool. I used it quite a bit back in the day when I predicted that Joe Biden would step away from running for power, using this very tool, that he would not be in the position of running for power by the election of 2024. And so we're going to look a little bit at Washington, D.C. today, but we're also going to talk about your chart. In my extended section, my members only add-on near the end of this video, we'll talk for about 15 more minutes about some world astrology, looking at Tel Aviv and looking at Tehran to look at what might happen this year ahead, given what's going on in our world today. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian, and this is our Western Tropical Sky, not sidereal. And in today's video, I'm going to give you information based on your sun, your moon, and your rising sign that helps you understand how you can use this next 12 months ahead. And I love this kind of predictive sky for the world, but it works for us individually as well. In fact, think of a nested Russian doll. The big fat doll is this sky of the Vernal Equinox, which happens on the 20th of March. And then this rolls out for a year till next March of 2027. And within that, we have subsets. We're going to have a summer solstice chart, and we're going to have a fall equinox chart, and we're going to have another winter solstice chart. I'll be sharing all of those charts with you as we go through this year ahead. So don't forget, if you're new, like, subscribe, and hit my notification bell so you don't miss my drops. And welcome to my channel. I'm glad to have you here. If you've been subscribed, like many people, for quite a few years now, check that you weren't unsubscribed. Every now and then, YouTube, especially after I've had a large subscription lift, which I did, about 9,000 or 10,000 people came in January, February. What happens is they then start culling you guys away, thinking you're bots or fake accounts. And so you probably aren't a fake account or a bot, or you've been here like forever and suddenly you're unsubscribed. I don't take it personally. I subscribe to 2 or 3 very big channels that I love on YouTube, not astrology channels, but political commentary. And I just realized I'd been unscrubbed in the last month. And I'm like, what? This is one of my go-to channels, and YouTube unsubscribed me. So no big deal. Just see if you're still subscribed. I do teach astrology classes, and I'm so excited to be teaching my Divine Timing Masterclass in May for 5 weekends in a row. If you want to join me there, check out the description box to get on the wait list for that. And then you'll know when the doors open. And that's for advanced beginner and intermediate astrologers to learn some esoteric and really refined, but very accurate timing tools. And I'll be talking more about that as we get closer to May. And I also do my all signs, astrology, the map of time. It is literally the map of the past, present, and future. So you can use it predictively or to navigate your future and your present moment. So if you like, you could definitely take a look at my 2026 delineation of 2.5 hours for your sign, how you can navigate the year ahead. And that's for sale down below or buy the bundle, which is all 12 signs. And that's like 2.5 hours per video privately recorded for you. Hey guys, I want to tell you some good news. Guess what? This is for my regulars. So I had a dream that my daughter-in-law would be pregnant, and I actually had a vision from the soul of who was coming through from my family line into my firstborn grandchild. And then everyone thought it was going to be a boy. We kept predicting a boy. So I found in February there was a pregnancy, and this is this little like gender neutral little baby thingy. And then what happened that my daughter-in-law brought with my son at mid-February for a late Christmas celebration. Anyway, then I had a dream a week ago, and I said, oh my God, it's pink. The baby's got a pink color, blankie or whatever. And I texted my daughter-in-law and said, it's going to be a girl. Everyone was like, no, we all got a boy. I said, no, it's going to be a girl. And in fact, the big opening of the gender reveal party where they had a cake with either blue or pink icing underneath it, and one of their friends baked it, and they didn't know what the gender was, and they was really excited. It's a girl. I'm going to be a grandma, and this is my firstborn grandchild. I'm 63. My first grandchild is on the way. I am so excited. Just had to share it with my regulars. Happy. I just found out last night. I'm recording this for you guys on March the 15th. All right, so that's enough of that. I am so jazzed about the way the sky looks. We've got asteroids Imhotep. We've got Urania. We've got Lilith, the asteroid, not the black moon. We've got Dionysius activated, Industria. We've got the two spinners of fate, Atropos and Clotho, activated in our sky. So it's going to be an intense time. But for each of your signs, it's not so rough. It's really the world astrology stuff where it gets pretty intense. Some people are going to have their thread of their life cut, snip, snip. So that's definitely a big story. But one of the things I want to talk about when we're looking at your sign is the question I get constantly, because I'm going to start, in a minute looking at each sign. But for a quickie, we're going to look at Washington, D.C. I want you to think about your sun sign as your true self, your eternal nature, your spirit operating in matter. I want you to think of it also as relevant to your career and purpose matters. I want to think of your moon sign as your feelings and thinkings about life. It's your sort of thinking, feeling apparatus of the character you play here. And it's also your home, domicile, and nest. And you can also consider matters connected to your ascendant as basically the character, the mask you wear, the character you play in the game. So therefore, like the game player is the sun, the true you, and the game playing avatar is the ascendant. Your ascendant will be very accurate in timing tools, but so will your sun quite often. As we reach the age of mid-40s onward, quite often for self-aware people, the sun will become way more accurate when you're listening to astrology, or as accurate as the ascendant. So let's get going and talk about the sky. So this is what the sky looks like in Vancouver, Canada at 7:47 a.m. on March the 20th, the day that the sun will turn into 0000 of Aries. It's first in a lifetime type of solar ingress. Why is it first in a lifetime? Because guess what? We have Saturn and Neptune co-joined here. We haven't seen these two together here since oh my God, 1703. And before that, 555, 1300s, and then 555 AD. So I'm saying it is a first in a lifetime solar ingress, and probably my thumbnail title will reflect that. At the very same time as this exciting new beginning is happening for the world, as the light is increasing and your life is increasing with it, it also means that we are embedding into the narrative Neptune visions, dreams, and maybe interdimensional awareness, but also, unfortunately, religiosity and delusion and glamour around war. This is Aries, a sign of war and holy war. And Saturn, of course, the backbone and structure for that war. But also Saturn can be the part that wants to make something tangible and real. Maybe we can code this really close solar ingress to how can we each make our dreams real, despite the fact that Saturn is in a condition of its fall. So it's not operating on its most highly successful modalities. It's in a sign of youth when Saturn's the old man. It's in a sign of reckless daring when Saturn's cautious and slow moving. So Saturn is not particularly on his A game. And so we may feel like infantile leaders are running the show, for example, which is quite true at this time. We might also wonder about Urania here. Urania is the asteroid for the muse of outer space. Okay, so astrology and astronomy, which used to be the same thing, and that makes me wonder if we're going to have a lot more revelations about the sky, the stars, non-human entities, interstellar objects and beings. I mean, that could be a big theme of the next year ahead, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. And we'll also notice that in Aries, as the ingress happens, is Venus also not in a good shape. She's exiled from Libra. So we have two planets in lack of dignity. Venus rules war. Venus is visible in the sky in the sign of war. She is an evening star, but she is also debilitated in Aries and ruled by Mars. Okay, so Mars is inflaming the seas over here, the Piscean seas with the North Node, and Mars is also now visible as of March 17th. So here's my code for you. I think that Venus is going to have a very hard time creating peace in the next year in places of war, particularly war connected to sea and ocean. And that would include China and Taiwan flaring, perhaps, most probably. That would include problems here as well with the Persian Gulf and all of that, Strait of Hormuz, the Mediterranean, the Red Sea. Okay, so any sea-bearing conflict, Venus cannot do a very good job, to say the least, right? Not only are the chironic wounds of war still here, which has been a problem since 2019 when Chiron ingressed into the war sign, but we also have Venus in debility and a fallen Saturn. The ability to constrain, retain, and constrict war looks very difficult for the world. And this is also a problem. This is not particularly a Washington, D.C. chart. This is Vancouver, Canada. Be the same for Los Angeles. But I will say this, I would say that this little particular celestial body is Lilith, the asteroid, not Black Moon, but it's about suppressed rage and gender divisions, according to my software. And I think that there's a lot of rage going on in the world, but there's also this holy war problem, right? And the holy war is on every single side. There's a war right now that's eschatological, that's apocalyptic, that's seeking Armageddon, that wants to invite the return of Jesus, and in the tradition of the nation of IS, that's going to be the return of the Messiah as well. So and the reclamation of the third temple and all that stuff. This is like, we can't go there because you and I aren't busy doing psychopathic demon worship, and we're not, an allegiance to Baal, nor are we even, thinking in terms of we're going to kill and maim and slaughter people in the name of a religious ideology. Most of us don't think like that. You're not watching my channel if you do, but that's unfortunately what the world is going through right now. It won't last. Pluto is out of bounds intermittently until next 9 years, and this will bring power to the people and a release from this constriction, but it's going to take time, and it doesn't look easy this year, because this chart says it doesn't look easy this year. All right, so let's also mention a couple other stories. I find it fascinating for the world at large to see this. This is Imhotep. Now you just go Imhotep, it's Egyptian, right? But it also has to do with healing practices. And so there may be something about news or information around healing practices coming up for us in the next year, maybe some new medical breakthroughs connected to AI, using AI for research or for cure related thinking, At the same time, if we look around here, this is Pluto on the moon/ascendant of any place that's in Aquarius rising. There's a chart for Russia that is Aquarius rising, but there's also a chart. China is clearly an Aquarius rising. And this is Pluto, the death and rebirth and resurrection and catharsis. And this is Industria. So maybe there's going to be a resurrection or a rebirth of a certain industry, okay, in some country that's Aquarian. So we could point to China, we could point to maybe Russia. And so there's something going on with that as well. And it's sort of baking in, to this whole story, like baking in, meaning giving it a hard form. And Saturn is in a sextile. So there could be some kind of pioneering, new direction of some new industry in some of these countries. Who knows? Down here, we also have the asteroid America baked in at 17 degrees of Leo. And this is kind of between Donald Trump's Pluto and his Mars at 26. So it's kind of hovering in the back end of Donald Trump's chart. It's also where the ascendant of J.D. Vance is. America is baked into both of those people's charts. Trump looks in trouble this fall. Politically, he may be ousted from power. This is Dionysius, which is, I'm going to just say, it's like when you have Dionysian debauchery, you usually have sort of drug-fueled, like kind of P. Diddy stuff going on. Okay, Sean Combs. And now that's also, unfortunately, a part of what's being revealed in the E-files, that kind of behavior. And so there may be some more of that exposure, and it can impact Leo people, which, of course, is Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Erika Kirk, or Leo rising. I rectified Erika's chart. And there's something about that is literally probably going to be a little shocking in the square to Uranus, more shocking debauchery in America revealed, or it's around the world, but some of the E-files are sourced in America. And then this is not the most important part of the sky that I want to share with you before we delineate your sign, but I can't help but notice that these are the three Morai, the three spinners of fate. And this one here is Clotho, who pulls the thread of life. And this here is a Tropos, who cuts and snips the thread of life and determines the manner of death. Well, a Tropos at 17 degrees of Capricorn is exactly square Venus, okay? Exactly square Venus. And even though the asteroid Lilith is about suppressed rage and stuff, it's also just a Lilith story, which is the disqualified feminine in the eyes of the patriarchy, co-joined the moon, which is feminine energy. So there's going to be some major Atropos cutting regarding matters to do with fallen women. Okay, it was called fallen women, and snip cut. If Erika Kirk is a Leo rising, some of the problems are happening for her here in the house of courts, legal and justice system, and the word international connected as well in her chart to the sixth house of very karmic things, and also connected to work and her livelihood. So I think Erika Kirk will fall by the end of this year from her glory seat at TPUSA. I think there's going to be quite a lot of scandal about her that gets into the mainstream and out of the conspiracy news cycle and into the real world. Over here is Clotho, pulling that thread of life. And it's interesting that we're looking at the March 20th Ingress chart. But did you know that on the 17th, 18th, when Mars rose and we had a new moon in Pisces, did you know that this Clotho is perfectly, and you can still see it, squaring Mars? Well, that's important because as I record this, there's all these rumors that the prime minister of the nation of I has been killed, and it's not alive. And there was a 6-fingered video that went out, and everyone said, well, that's an AI deep fake of him doing a presentation to the people, and he hasn't been seen otherwise. I just wonder, because Clotho is 13 degrees of Sagittarius, is conjunct his 9-degree, that prime minister of that nation of I, the beehive, the wasp nest country, not friendly to its neighbors. It happens to be his ascendant, where the snipping is, like the thread puller is, that's the thread puller, but Mars is the scissors, the scalpel, and the cutter. Snip, cut, snip, cut. And the fourth house, this is fourth house from his chart. I'm going to say, BN's chart of the nation of I, the prime minister, which is maybe being cut and severed from life in and from and near his home. And some of the rumors are that that's what's happened. Now, home or homeland, right? Being at home in his country. Now, that may not be true, but it's kind of behind us a little bit on the 17th, 18th. And here we are on the 20th. And you see that story playing out as a kind of archetypal theme here as well. Finally, I do want to mention the last thing before we do all signs. I'm going to take a look at also quickly what this chart looks like in Washington, D.C. The extended version will be Tel Aviv and Tehran for my members only community here. But I want to mention one more thing. In my humble opinion, all right, first in a lifetime kind of sky that we're experiencing here is going to be, for the people, you, me, and the everyday Joe, a good thing. Although there's a lot of difficulty, especially regarding conflict, war, and aggression globally, and Armageddon, etc. And that's because the moon is new. The moon is new. This is a new moon in Aries, right? It's still a new moon. And it's also connected. It was a new moon in Pisces, but the sky is still a dark moon. So it's still in new moon formation relative to its distance from the sun. And it's also leaning into a healing, a chironic healing. All of us, every one of us, since 2019, in one part of our sky, have felt a chironic wound in the Aries part of our chart in our whole sign house system. And I'm going to delineate this new beginning and fresh start that wants to emerge from this particular sky, collectively for the people and individually as well. So if I was in Los Angeles or I am in Vancouver, Canada, this would be a same kind of sky. The ascendant will be in the sign of, the ascendant here will be in the sign of Aries. So people who live here are feeling this chironic healing more than any other sign. There is a problematic potential here, but I'm not sure for sure. But we are on a Pacific coastline here, and there is a fallen Saturn next to the god of the seas and in exiled Venus. And so the only downside, I really hope not, is that the Pacific coast of North America, especially California up to Vancouver, or even Alaska, may experience a major earthquake event in this next calendar year. All right, that's based on my hunch on that sky, especially with Clotho and the thread spinner and the thread cutter both flowing and squaring Venus, right? So I'm going to make a story that could be true or just my imagination. Okay, so I had a dream as well. Let me talk to you for a sec before we go on and do your sign. I had dreamt about the World Trade Towers accurately. I dreamt exactly what was going to happen. The towers were shaking. People were running down, trying to get to safety. I was running down with them. And then it was the trade tower event. And I actually thought maybe it was symbolic, maybe the fire, running down the stairs, shaking, trying to get out. And no, it was real. And I also dreamt about many other things, like the morning of I've always dreamed prophetic. They don't need to tout my horn. And, the morning that the towers went down, I had a dream that morning before I got to bed. It was at 7 a.m. Eastern. The towers hadn't gone down yet. And I had a very specific dream about I was dancing in the Ballroom Marriott Hotel in Times Square, which I have danced in. I've danced there, and back then, and I literally lived in D.C. area, Washington D.C. area, and I'm Canadian. And in the dream, Timothy McVeigh, a terrorist, right, a homegrown terrorist, Oklahoma bomber, was dancing with me in the ballroom. And I woke up and wrote my dream journal. Why am I dancing with a bomb terrorist in New York City? But it's a homegrown terrorist, right? It's an American citizen. And now all the conspiracy news has been out and shows have been done on it. And it's not a conspiracy anymore. That was literally partly a deep state operation. But if you don't know that stuff yet, stay in your happy cocoon. All right. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is my dream very quickly, because it's probably germane to the next year of Astrological New Year. I had a dream. I was on a tall tower, like a hotel or apartment tower, or maybe an office tower, but a big tower, high rise. There was a kind of a large balcony I was on. There were other people there. There was a door to run into, to go into the building, big glass door of some kind. And I looked over and there was a plane coming down, airplane coming down. I dreamt about the plane that crashed with the young figure skating team, because I dreamt about being on a plane filled with athletes that crashed. That happened 3 months before that happened, my dream. I talked about it on my channel. And I'm watching this plane coming down, a passenger. I thought it was a passenger plane, but I'm not sure. Just saw a plane coming down. And I knew I was in US soil. I knew I was in the United States. And then the nose of the plane did this. I mean, the plane is straight, but the nose of the plane where the cockpit is just sort of turned down and turned into like a top of a rocket or the pointy tip of a missile. And at the same time that happened, then the plane just crashed, and then there was a massive explosion. And I was screaming at everyone, run, we've got to get inside, because it was going to be a fireball or, and debris or something. Not that inside would be much better. So it's kind of a combination of a downed aircraft with a explosive and weapon type story, right? So I don't know what to say about that, guys. I meant to share this with you. Some of you might be interested in this. Venus is on Artemis. Artemis has a bow and arrow in her hand. She's a huntress. I meant to mention Venus on Artemis. So then again, what kind of situation with flying arrows of war, which we call, our modern day kinetic devices that are projectiles that fly through the air, is going to be a problem in the next year. Well, with Venus, the goddess of peace, fallen in the sign of war, exiled in the sign of war, next to a fallen Saturn, no containment. We're going to see something like that Now, here's this what all thing I want to show you. So you can just kind of get some of the ideas of the meanings of these. You might want to screenshot it. I forgot to mention that Okuro was conjunct Chiron in this chart, actually. And that's Chiron that's conjunct Okiro. Yeah, yeah. And the thing about that is Okiro could see the future. Is that Chiron? Yes, Chiron's conjunct Okiro. Okiro could see the future. She had the gift of prophecy, but the gods wanted her to not tell the truth about the death of her dad that was going to come. And they shut her up by transforming her, into, I think, a horse. I can't read it because my own picture's in the way. So it's about, the software says learning when to keep your mouth shut and when to speak, So recording this today, and Tucker Carlson came online and said that he understands they're going to try to arrest him for like Julian Assange type misdeeds. I mean, that's how bad the suppression of free speech is getting in the United States. So anyone who says what's going to happen, the prophets and seers who can see the writing on the old wall, they're getting shut down and turned into demonetized, threatened, it's not good right now. Venus and Artemis is with the arrows and bows and arrows that fly, right? So we can just think about her holding the archer's bow and shooting at things. So I think that's about Venus and the sign of war and the things that fly through the air. We've got Atropos, as I mentioned, she's cutting the thread. We also have Clotho, who spins the thread in the sky. We also have Imhotep, which I just think of Egyptian knowledge and lost knowledge, but it's also things about health and healing. And I still think it could be more discoveries because Mercury's there, news about maybe new healing technologies or discovery. And Pluto and Industria, I already covered that. Usually it means an industry. You have to be really, it's just some industry that wants to either die or be born again, with Pluto Industria affecting Aquarian people, places, and things, including Russia and China. Okay, so that's some of the stories and what software says about it. We're going to take a quick peek now, just a quick peek. We're going to look at Washington, D.C. We're not going to be there long. We're going to do your sign. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check that you're still subscribed. And then we're going to do the members only at Tel Aviv and Iran. I'm going to do that because, by the way, the suppression here, the algorithm is really intense to get demonetized if you have anything controversial on this platform, unlike X, right? So I can't be fully spoken here. So my members only community or my patron community, where they get the more deeper dive content from me all the time. You can check that out as well in the description box below. And I'm going to now move us over to the Washington, D.C. chart just for fun. Bring the chart up for you and get started with this picture of Washington, D.C., indicating what could possibly emerge in the next year, March to March. And so this astrological new year puts the United States of America with this ingress in the 11th house of good spirit. Now, the 11th house is social groups of belonging and people and societies and, the social part of reality in particular. And we have a stellium up here. And if you're talking about a nation, this can be organization, like movements, like organized movements of the people. People are here, the moon, and they're especially mobilizing women who feel, betrayed or fallen or dismissed by the patriarchy. There's a Lilith archetype. There's also the energy here, as I mentioned, of this asteroid. That's Lilith, not the black moon math point, but the real asteroid is right with her. So I think you're going to see a lot of women with some rage that's not so suppressed. And the moon is new beginnings to heal wounds here. And I think you're going to see some societal outrage, particularly among women. And I certainly can see women being the angriest or the most outraged if the conscription or the draft law is passed. And the idea that Neptune and Aries leads to conscription is historical. It happened during Neptune and Aries during the U.S. Civil War, after 2 years of being, killed on the cannon fodder fields. Young kids and their parents didn't want them to go into the battle of the Civil War. And then what happened is the United States started to conscript. All right. So conscription of the draft, and women will be, I think, in a serious amount of outrage here if that happens, but they're children. And this is also Saturn, who is fallen. It's leadership acting like a child, for one thing, or the elders acting like infants or babies or young people, or too much reckless and daring energy that's going on up there. And of course, we see holy wars up there. So if there are going to be some women in a mode of, wanting to make their case known. Protest is what I'm saying. Then we're going to see that about those themes of holy wars, conscription, and things like that. And the summer looks particularly challenging in July, and it has a bit of summer of love and Vietnam protests in there, but it also has some very, very challenging stories going on for the world regarding war themes as well. Now, the other thing I could mention here, and look at the idea here, just the concept of the United States, looking at this being the ascendant in the sign of open enemies. The United States is a Sag rising, and now its identity seems preoccupied with the term enemies or adversaries. The whole identity of the United States is fixated on that. Now we have Mercury out of dignity in the 10th house, which is the executive branch and leadership of the United States government. So Mercury is no longer dignified, or never was, in Pisces, right? He's got problems. It's called exile. So we have an exiled Mercury in the house of the executive branch with the north node of inflammation and fate perfectly cojoined and baked in. At the very same time, Mars cuts, ends, and severs, especially given that he is also in a square to the thread of life. There is a possibility, therefore, that somebody in the executive branch of the United States government will be snipped from power or snipped from life. You take your pick who that might be. Certainly taken down from power, cut from power, snipped from power. Who knows? Something along those lines, because the identity of the United States is also Mercury, and Mercury is in a condition of exile and difficulty with Mars. And a very dangerous star is up here. We just had the new moon on that, right? So Mars is moving towards a rendezvous with that star. The star is one of when we unalive ourselves or if someone else unalives us. And so we can continually wonder if that has any meaning at all. Sometimes you could do a fun profection. Mars will hit the star in 1424. Well, kind of like you say into the next year, early in 27. If we were to perfect this forward early in 2027, like 15 months, so we're going to move into like May or April of 27 or April, June of 27. There could be some serious problems with the top of the power structures. But anyway, you never know. All right. Now, what else do I want to say about the United States of America? It's got the midheaven in the 9th house. This is a complicated placement because that's usually like, I'm not a mundane astrology expert, but in real practice, this turns out to be very bureaucratic and very like legislative, right? In Canada, we'd say it'd be like our members of parliament. And I've heard other people want to attribute that like the Congress and the Senate would be the 11th house. I don't know about that. It doesn't. This is the 10th house represents the king and the executive and the high branch. And this is something else. This is what's before it. So I'm just going to go that this to me has always looked like legislative branches of government, or sometimes judiciary, like the Supreme Court. So whatever this is up here, we've got the midheaven focal point ruled by a fallen Saturn. Not good for legal contests in the United States, Supreme Court rulings in the United States. Not good for the United States relationships to international and countries and foreign matters in the 9th house. We also have industry and Pluto and the 9th house. What's a 9th house industry? Well, for the country of the United States, it could be the industry of foreign intervention wars. It could also be matters connected to Congress, Senate, and whatever goes on in the government there. I don't know. It's just Pluto can be both a blessing and a curse. He wants to rebirth something, but he's also sextiling a fallen Saturn in the house of large groups of people, which I do think are going to doth protest loudly. With the United States here in the 2nd house trying to fill its coffers, right, to increase its economic wealth, right? So that's Jupiter in a water sign, let's say like through opening up the Strait of Hormuz or getting Venezuelan oil or whatever. Jupiter is literally in a trine to the malefic Rahu and a difficult and not well-placed Mercury, and Mercury rules commerce. And this is the high seas. This is tariffs, and this is trade, and this is waterborne commerce. So possibly we're not going to see any fast and dirty solutions to problems that last when it comes to trade embargoes, the movement of oil, which is probably heading to $150 a barrel if it's not already there. And so Jupiter's exalted on his high horse and he wants to do something good. And he is talking to Mercury, but Mercury's in rough shape, right? And Mars is in a sign of seas and wars. And the trine doesn't just make it all happy and all good. It's not always that simple. All right. So I don't know. I think that here's my last thought on this. United States is going to have a change by next April in who's in charge of the top of the government. There will be somebody new in the White House. The only person I could think, obviously, is J.D. Vance, will be up-leveled by next April. And that's probably because the midterms astrologically look like a disaster. And maybe Trump can be impeached by a Congress that's dominated by Democrats or taken out from power. So I'd probably say, bottom line, sea change in power. Mercury is representing somebody new in the White House in this chart that's fated and destined to step in. Mercury rules the fourth house, which is the White House of this chart. And you can see that J.D. Vance, his ascendant is near to this Leo part of the sky, the 17 degrees of Leo. And it could indicate a change of location for him from where he currently lives. And that could indicate a change of location to, let's say, the White House. That's my firm prediction on that. I don't think J.D. Vance is going to linger. I said, as soon as I saw his chart during the election, I said he's the Prince/King in waiting, and it will be no more than 2 years from the 2024 election that the signal is for him to move into the top spot in the Oval Office. Okay, so I think I still see that in this chart as well. All right, that was what we had for the world vis-a-vis the United States. I don't want to belabor it. If you want to watch more about, the other two places in the world I'm going to look at the end of this video for the little members only bit, or also available on my Patreon community, go ahead and do that. My light is always dimming on my laptop. Sorry about that. What we're going to talk about is your sign. I want you to think of your sign specifically under the thing that I'm about to describe, especially if it's your rising. You've got a wound. You felt it since 2019. It's in one chunk of your celestial real estate, and I'm going to share what chunk that is. You're going to be looking for a fresh start and a new beginning to heal this wound, because the moon is still a dark moon or a new moon, and a seed of healing is being planted. And we do want to talk about the seed being planted in conjunction with or connected to the other elements that are in Aries, okay, including Urani, which isn't just the muse of astrology and astronomy, but I think it's also the music of music, song, and dance. I think she's the ninth muse, but it's the idea of being inspired again by life. The muse is what inspires us. And so where can you find life's inspiration in this next astrological new year? It's so funny. Someone has said to me in the comments for today's drop that I look like an AI bot because I have a blurred background. Yeah, because my house can be messy, guys, but I'm getting a new camera. Blurred background. It's just blurry so you don't see all the little details around me, but I am a real person. This is not AI. Oh my goodness gracious. But thanks for the comment, guys. Maybe I could reconsider that. Let's go ahead. Let's get the sky up. We're talking about every single sign in the next little while. All right. So let's get going and talk about Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. Aries, you are like me. I'm one of you. I have a sun in Aries and a moon in Aries and Mercury in Aries. I'm very fast talking because of that. And you'll notice that as we start this astrological new year with the increase of light in a light and dark world, we're going to notice that this is about a fresh start, new moon, new beginning that's really impacting our identity. Now, by identity, I mean anything to do with I am. I am married. I'm divorced. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a star. I am I'm a housekeeper. Like, how do you identify the character's role? You could also have personality identities, like I'm fun, flirty, I'm angry, I'm mad, whatever. So the whole construct of who you are. This is particularly true for Aries rising. I am is changing. My daughter-in-law will be, I am a mother. She's not a mother yet, but she will be this summer. So you're going to have an identity change. If it's your Aries sun like me, you're going to have an identity change around career. I am a YouTube content creator. How about I'm a published author? I'll go with that one. So I want you to think about a new beginning and a fresh start and a change of identity, but that it is also connected to the muse. So where are you inspired? What will inspire you to change your identity? As a Urania. And where are you also healing a chironic wound about your own identity? And if it's your Aries moon, then you're asking yourself for a fresh start and a healing of a wound that's been here since 2017 regarding home and nest and belonging, and maybe even just feeling like you belong in your homeland. And I can totally relate because, during the pandemic, I was like not taking the unnecessary protocol for the fact I had no comorbidities anyway. I never did take it. And I ended up, getting banned and shunned out. You may as well have like a, black sheep label on my head or something in my culture, in my town, in my city, in my country, in my friendship circles. And it was a real, I didn't belong, right? Lunar wounds are the wound with Chiron of belonging. So all of you, Aries moon, Aries sun, and Aries rising, this has been a big deal for you, particularly because on February 2019, a chironic element began the journey through this part of your sky, and we'll be finishing up fully in 2027. I'll be talking in my Chiron video about the detour into Taurus this summer to get a change of pace in June through to September. But it is a big deal for you. And because of this, moon, new beginning, astrological cycle, March of this year till March of next year, it looks like you want to jumpstart a turnaround story and get rid of this kind of identity wound for once and for all, and to be inspired. And also the muse is there, like what really whispers to you for enthusiasm and excitement and kind of feeling like you're channeling something deeper beyond yourself. The muse is bigger than you. What part of you wants to be a vessel and a vehicle for the muse in some very important way? Chiron is on Okiro. I didn't draw Okiro in, but where do you have prophetic abilities that you may have suppressed? Where do you have prophetic abilities that you're afraid to speak because you're going to be turned into a horse? You're going to be punished for speaking a foretelling energy. Some of you may be dealing with that. That might be something that's up your wheelhouse as well. And you're trying to heal that chironic wound as well. This new moon, new beginning, fresh start, is in a flowing sextile to Lord Jupiter. This is going to open up positive prosperity opportunities for you, connected to property, land, home, and real estate matters, connected to prosperity in and from your home as you identify a new you, also connected to more children in the home. So my Aries daughter-in-law, Aries sun is going to have a child, right? So of course, you'll have children in the home. And there's something going on here about Jupiter where, because Jupiter says, I can help you prosper, live long and prosper, right? That's his code. Don't forget, the sun is actually in Aries. I apologize, but it is. It's because I had to go back to your sign. It's Jupiter says, okay, where can you live long and prosper in a new, fresh beginning of identity, connected to things you do in and from the home, or connected to the home itself? And that way you feel this new beginning and new moon, right? This whole new vibe can really open up new doors of opportunity connected to prosperity at home, in the home, connected to creative, artistic, and entrepreneurial matters, because the sun is a ruler of your fifth house. You could almost go into a Dionysian revelry around being artistic, creative, inspired, kind of losing the whole day because you couldn't stop writing or, painting or whatever you do that's artistic, acting. And you might even be more inspired entrepreneurially, having a kind of fresh lease on a direction, art creatively and entrepreneurially in this year ahead. And that's what I've got for you. I hope that you enjoy that and that you can actually use this energy in order to jumpstart a really inspired, enthusiastic, more fresh new you. And that chironic wound is going to be gone in 2027 for good. But right now you're at the tail end of that longer story that was once in a lifetime. And this is a once in a lifetime new beginning because the sun in your Aries sky, exalted, is also helping you make your dreams come true and real, right? Helping you find your way, because Saturn and Neptune are the code for bringing form and structure to that which you imagine. Don't be impatient. That will be my advice, because Saturn is impatient in Aries, even though he's the Lord of time and perseverance. All right, what happens to the Taurus, sun, moon, and rising people? Well, the first thing is that you're going to start a fresh beginning, and you start, obviously. because it's a new moon, but it's taking you into a very cloistered place. It's the 12th house, and it's quite often things that are connected to your inner life, your solitude, your quiet time, sometimes addictions, your own bad habits, your self-sabotaging ways are here. And so there's a very introspective soul work energy for you this year, this third week of March to next year's March, this beginning of this story of new light coming to your life. But it's also a new moon and a new beginning. Yes, the sun will be here. It'll eventually cross over. Give me a minute. In the first degree of Aries on the 20th of March. A new beginning and a fresh start, okay, can also end up looking like an ancestral line, family of origin healing. Chiron and the new beginning and the new moon and the sun are all in the trine to your fourth house of childhood, ancestral line, childhood wounds from the house of past lives, connected as well to the fact the sun exalted in Aries rules your fourth house. And this energy, therefore, pulls on that fourth house and asks you to really go under the surface. Maybe you're out picturing a great grandparent's life. Maybe you're channeling habits, patterns, and addictions from your ancestral line. Maybe you got past life hangups connected to your family of origin. Whatever is going on, I'm going to encourage you to do deep work, and especially with Neptune, like hypnosis, imagination, kind of non-allopathic, non-talk therapy, other ways to get deeper down to uncovering what holds you back, Taurus. Because, an unexamined life, right? Not worth it. This is the year of examining the deeper substructure of how you work in the world, operate in the world, and where you fail to operate successfully. This is a house where you undo yourself. New beginning, fresh start, chironic wound in this house. And this includes addictions and misuse disorders of substances. And you can go back to 2019 and look in the rearview mirror. Did you start to become dependent on a substance that's biologically addictive? And you may have noticed that happen to you. This is a healing, a turning point, a new beginning. You want to find inspiration and the muse. This is really good for taking up some kind of creative or artistic direction in your quiet alone time, being inspired to say, no, everyone, I'm going into my painting studio, or my daughter, she's got a new sewing gig. She loves sewing. And I'm going to not see you guys until I come out 3 hours later. You tell the kids to park themselves in front of a mac and cheese in front of the computer or something. And you just do it yourself. You're going to take time out for you when you need it. Solitude will be your best friend, because you can use it to heal yourself this year. This is a really good time to take care of your soul. This is the story of this year. Now, there's this possibility that there may be a cord cutting or a clotho moment in which somebody that you would call a father figure, a parental male figure, may pass away. Okay. And so I can say that there is also, you may be dealing with a loss of a father figure and their passage at this time. And we're talking elder. So we're not talking you're 20 and your dad's 40. We're talking about your elder parent or grandparent passing away this year. The other last thing I'd point to here is, how is it that you could, under this kind of a sky, find yourself supported by a guide, a mentor, or a teacher? Chiron. Okay. That could be an ally as a benefactor to your healing. And this is to say that getting into a coaching, guiding, mentoring, or therapeutic relationship with someone could work very well for you at this time. It could be extraordinarily, impressively healing for you. Jupiter in the third house might want to expand your social media sphere, brick and mortar business success, matters to do with learning a skill. The kind of learning you do in the third house isn't you're going to go off and get your astrophysics degree at Harvard. You're going to learn, well, that's a skill, but you're going to learn something like how to change a car tire, how to sew, how to get a real estate license. It's that kind of learning where you can immediately pick it up like a tool and use it in a practical and likely professional capacity, but just a practical tool. So, I could learn how to spackle my walls or something. So you need to learn how to learning. And Jupiter says successful how-to learning, but it could also increase your career gains as well. So taking up a learning of something that interests you is a very positive thing. And the moon is telling Jupiter what to do. And if you take up the learning of something, you're going to do a lot of it alone in your downtime to probably perfect the tool that you're learning. Last but not least, some of you will want to move. But a move in this sky could put you into a non-local environment, not changing your house down the street, but moving, not all of you, some of you Taurus, especially rising, sun secondarily, moon as well, strong for the moon, Taurus moon, Taurus rising especially, but Tauruses, you could move. You could up and go and say, I'm moving to a foreign land, a foreign shore, a distant place. I'm going to pick up my knapsack and go to the ashram. There's a vibe there, right? So pilgrimages as well as under the sky. Okay, good luck with your astrological new year. Oh, what about the industry here? You may change industries. Like say you're working in like the fashion industry and you might move your industry of career success to the entertainment industry or to the hospitality industry or the travel industry. Did I say that? There's a change of work industry. So whatever industry you work in now, at the end of a year from now, next March, you're not going to be in that industry. That's what I'll tell you. In fact, I can even give you a time frame on that. By January of 24, you're in a new industry. Oh, January of 27, 24. Hey there, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. First of all, I have a progressed sun in Gemini. I partially relate to you. Don't forget, progressed planets are not as important as not as important at all as your natal sky, but it does matter, just not as important. And when you look at this Gemini, sun, moon, and rising focus, the sun is ingressed into your 11th house with a new moon formation. There's the moon 20 degrees away to have a fresh start and a new beginning in your career gains and also your social networks and friends and also your long range goals and dreams for your life. That's your new beginning. That's your fresh start. And it's an interesting place for a fresh start because it also has Venus up here and she's like the muse or what inspires you. She can draw from the well of your 5th house. I guess we could say if you're going to make money, you want to feel at least a modicum of enthusiasm and inspiration, for she is with the muse Urania, and the idea of being inspired is here. Challenges are here as well. You want to make some significant career gains in a new way with form and structure and vision and imagination, inspiration and the muse. And yet you've been dealing with a chironic wound in your career gains and great gains house since 2019, February. You know, the kind of thing about the 11th house, you know, it gives us like, oh, the awards, the celebrities, the numbers, the applause, the more money, the recognition, the red carpet moment. And yet, if it's not deeply fulfilling, and it's not deeply dharmic, and Saturn rules your dharmic meaning of life house, and he's in the stellium, then it all falls short of the glory of God. You don't feel the joy. You don't like the way you're making the success happen. And it may be a clue that you're turning it around this year. There's a wound healing. You want to really get Venus out of her exile into the artistic, creative, and entrepreneurial house where she's just having a blast. Now, some of you may work for a company and this makes sense, but even like me, if you have your own entrepreneurial business, you want to have fun. I could say girls just want to have fun. That's what Venus is saying. If you're not having fun, not having joy, you're going to try to heal that wound and turn it around by next spring so that you can't wait to go into your career making goals and dreams and gains, right? Jupiter is flowing to this new beginning, new moon, whole 11th house story. And Jupiter is in your 2nd house. And therefore, Jupiter says, let's make more money. But, you know, I mentioned this earlier. He's also talking to a bunch of problem children in your 10th house. You might want to quit, end, or sever a particular income source in the next 12 months in order to find something that's going to bring you more enjoyment in life. I like the idea, but still at the same time, even more prosperity. The new beginning, new moon can also help you heal a division, and a fresh start may emerge with social groups of friends or even a particular friend or even a sibling one older, and coming to some kind of new beginning in that relationship to patch it up or to heal it in some way. On a more difficult note, it's possible that a friend of yours may pass away this year. And I mean, like, not a family member, could be a sibling one older, but more likely a friend or a friend, you know, like a friend, somebody in your social groups. Depends on how old you are. I'm not going to say if you're 15, you should be worrying about this, but you could end up with the Clotho snipping from the 8th house, you know, coming into this, it would be a female friend, most likely, but a female friend or a friend could be in a condition of hardship to the point where that friend may no longer be wanting to stick around in the body. And that's not true for every single Gemini. That would be ridiculous. But for some of you, that will be true. How you reach out to your audience, your marketplace, your clients, and your customers is being changed. The thread of life in the 7th house squared by Mars in the career house is a snipping or a cutting. So you want to make some changes. You will make some changes. It doesn't mean you don't still work and have a work life, but you're making some changes based on coming into alignment with a meaningful, significant dharmic path, but also rearranging for inspiration your long-range plans and goals and dreams. It's not enough to dream, success looks great until it arrives, right? You aim for something, you get it, and then you go, did it really fulfill or not? And that's what you'll be dealing with in this sky. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. So first things first, Jupiter is literally in your sign, giving you huge, huge blessings. And he's going to protect you. And this bakes in a year of protection until next March. With that said, the new beginning, fresh start, new moon archetype of the solar ingress on the 20th of March in your 10th house is a new beginning in your professional area of life, your work, your reputation, your career. Now, reputation and career, right? It's also like, what's your reputation? A lot of times it's our very visible status that the world identifies us as. Like, oh yeah, there's John, he's married, divorced, or widowed, right? Or, whatever. It's also public ceremonies like weddings and bar mitzvahs and funerals. So up in the top of the sky, in this very visible place, you have a new beginning and a fresh start. However, you've been wounded here. Maybe you've been trying to find the chironic key to purpose as it applies to your career since 2019. My Cancer rising sister retired from nursing at the end of 2018 and has been looking around for her deeper purpose in life. And you might find that this wound around, are you my purpose? Is this my true direction? And it's an inner thing. It may not even be. You could have had a wounded reputation. Like something may have happened to your reputation that felt like, everyone's talking about you. But otherwise, you could also just been feeling wounded about the career itself that you've chosen, the professional life you've chosen, or your reputation as well, of course. All right, so that's coming up to close out in 2027. That started in February of 2019. This new solar ingress is a fresh start and a new beginning. You want to feel a lot more inspiration and enthusiasm, a kind of muse-driven Uranian field of, yay, I've got the excitement for my purpose and career. I feel inspired. This is also an energy, though, of you will work hard, maybe too hard. Be careful, because Saturn here, while he loves to persevere, is in a condition of fall. And so structure, discipline, and hard work will come easy to you, but maybe at a cost between now and next March. Just be careful that you find a pace for work that you can live with. Sometimes a fall in Saturn in the 10th house will indicate a fall of professional success. But in order to birth a new beginning, because this is indeed a new moon energy, it's a dark moon. The moon is dark. And with the energy of Neptune, you probably want to spend some time visualizing what it is that you're going to want to create in your new inspired fresh start beginnings in the 10th house. Saturn rules the house of marriage, and we have an exiled and fallen planet with this new moon sun combination. There is, for some of you, especially given that we have the cutter of the thread of fate, right? The spinner of fate who cuts the thread. There is a possibility of an end of a long-term committed love relationship. And that can show me the kind of damage to your reputation or the public sphere in which this becomes known to all. Okay, so one other thing I might mention for you is that I wouldn't start a new relationship under this. I mean, of course, it's a whole year, so you can't just use this chart for that. But certainly I wouldn't start a new relationship on March the 20th because it's going to be fraught with problems. Jupiter is protecting you, though, and Jupiter is flowing to your 9th house, which is to activate this whole year ahead, a sense of purpose, a sense of dharma. We have a kind of hand of the king in the 9th house. You might work close to people in power. You might move your career to a position where you're second in command from some authority figure, being in an advisory role. because we'll have new beginnings. We will have some changes of career. And I like the idea here that you might also benefit from some new industry that brings you greater chunky money and power and wealth. So industry meaning some level of professional acclaim or direction that you are always working toward. A Saturn ruling this industry, Pluto story in the 8th house of chunky money that could end up giving you some kind of money that's like, well, it's chunky. So there's 8th house money is kind of funny. Like AdSense revenue, book royalty income, money from investments, money from an inheritance, money from a spousal separation, money from anything. But industry and Saturn also says you might have a new way of making money. You might move into some new line of work, new industry, and it gives you these derivative sorts of money that isn't actually coming off of your normal paycheck or your normal earning structures. We shall see. I do not mind Dionysius in your second house, in this case, flowing up to that, new moon energy and the sun, because it could mean you're going to be more passionate and more it's totally into the way you're making money than you have been in the past, because there is an ending and a beginning, something new, and something must end for something new to occur. And because the sun is the ruler of your earnings house, some of you might make money in America, by the way, the asteroid is there, but a new beginning, or from Americans or North American income sources. But because all of this is so beautifully appointing a new beginning in career, that's a simple delineation, with Lord Jupiter witnessing that and trying his best to support that new beginning for you. So you're going to find some kind of luck or ease or flow, maybe even jovial enjoyment, some ho moments here as you increase your money at the same time that you change the way you make the money through your career path. You're changing the way you get the gains of your career into something different and new. And by the way, if you don't work from home, like you're employed and you have to go to the office, this could definitely change that. Venus will want to operate from home, her Libra 4th house. And so this could be a continuation of the fall and exile of Saturn and Venus in the 10th, is to say they would like to drop down and work from home. And there may be arrangements in your life that allow for that to happen, for more work from home or create your own business from home. Those kinds of stories may occur in the next 12 months for you. Hey, Leo, sun, moon, and rising, Aries Ingress. This is always a video that does the worst every year, so hit the like button, would you? People understand how important it is. This bakes in a 1-year story. It's going to last till next March. You've got a new beginning and a fresh start in your 9th house. You are starting over, having a dark moon here, seeding something new. What is the 9th house? It's the meaning of life. It's international themes like travel. It's book publishing. It's courts and legal cases and judges. And it also is the idea of a dharmic life path, using your talents, your gifts, and skills, be on the path of true purpose, follow your true North Star, follow your bliss, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be a priority for you. This new beginning is in a house I would call the hand of the king. You may be an advisor, a sidekick to somebody in power. You may take on a sort of an executive administrative sidekick archetypal role or advisor to someone in power. This energy is brand new and it's a new beginning. It's got the muse here, Urania, the 9th muse, to be inspired. You want to find some enjoyment, inspiration in this direction. Venus is goddess of what you enjoy. You're pioneering. You're doing something new. It's probably not something you've tried before. There's also Saturn, and he says structure, focus, and discipline, and make this dream real at the same time. Both Saturn and Venus are in difficult condition. They really belong to the 3rd house here. So allow for you to also be allowing for new skills-based learning in order to get up and running in this exciting new life's direction. Don't try to take it on without saying to somebody, hey, I need to study how to do this. You may, in fact, be called to do some sort of learning, whether it's a short distance, like a weekend workshop, or you're going to take some longer term training or learning. There's a new beginning and learning access as well. So there's something you might want to study and learn. And some of you could go back to university. Saturn kind of represents the delay. So this, for some of you, would have been, I'm not talking to you 18-year-olds. I'm talking to you older people here who maybe didn't finish school and I want to go back and do it, or didn't go and want to start there. So going back to school could be a story for a lot of Leos here. And if you do go back to school, you're looking for Venusian professions. So, think about Venus, art, beauty, money, love, and also maybe Saturnian stuff as well. maybe working with people one-on-one, supporting people one-on-one, maybe working with, I don't know. There's lots of ways it could go. I'm not your guidance counselor, but this is something different that's emerging here. Venus rules your career house. Any learning and training and study and learning curve you're doing is going to serve your career space. In particular, Uranus on a wealth star ruled by Venus could bring you more wealth in the next year through learning and getting some skills-based learning as well, directing you towards a meaningful, more significant career. And even a career that you could say to yourself, yeah, I kind of like this. I'm having a lot of fun. If you serve a client and audience in your life, well, in Pluto industry, it can say you're moving towards a new industry, a new direction professionally. Jupiter in your 12th house blows to the 8th house. You could come into some money in this year ahead. And if you do come into some money between now and next March, it's likely going to emerge from, unfortunately, maybe somebody could be in a hospital setting because it's going to activate sort of the inheritance archetype for you. Or money from a spousal separation, divorce, money from the in-laws, or some money from even the possibility, depending if you're old, older person, the passing of a spousal partner. I can't say that it's not true. It's not true or not true. It's just a possibility. Now, I know you don't want to hear this, but for a lot of Leos, there's a strong likelihood that a pet will go to heaven. Yes, a tropos, the snipper, is in the house of pets. The thread of life of a beloved pet may come to a closure between now and next March. Okay, so this is probably a pet that's already old, so don't be afraid of my prediction. And if you have a pet, just love your pet. Like, be present with your pet. Love your pet up. Okay. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a sky, and I'm not an AI. This is a sky that tells me that you're having a new, fresh start that lasts until March of this year, March 20th, add 1 year till third week of March of 2027. The new start is in your 8th house. Your 8th house is a very powerful place for new starts if you're looking for spiritual illumination and rebooting yourself here. So for those of you who want to, say, go deep and find your true self and eliminate your false ego and all of that, this is a nice constellation of possibility. But for most people who are not at all interested, if you have any addictions connected to Dionysius, the god of wine, the fermented grape, alcohol, that's what he's doing in their 12th house, right? This whole constellation in Aries is flowing to him, indicating a positive turning point around chironic wounds connected to addictions and self-undoing. But you're going deep into karma, past lives, your ancestral line. You're cutting and snipping and changing it. There's the cord cutter here. There's the cloth, the thread of life from the ancestral line and the family of origin connected to addictions and to healing. You may also be cutting a cord of some sort with some other situation in your life that may connect you to this particular atropos, cutting a cord, but it's cutting a cord connected to Venus, that which brings you pleasure. And so there may be some cord cutting of temporary pleasures, and they're no longer needed. You need to constrict them and constrain them. Again, I see a lot of turning points around ancestral line, psychological, emotional, and spiritual stuff, as well as addictions and patterns that you've adopted coming from your past lives or your ancestors. I got a funny story. Years ago, I saw a shaman, a kahuna from Hawaii, and he told me, I was in my 30s because I love red wine. And he's like, "Oh, you don't have an addiction, girl." He's like, "You are coming back as a Roman senator. You use wine to ply your trade." Little did he know that I was absolutely smitten with Roman history in university, took electives galore, met the man I married and had kids with, we connected at the level to continue the relationship in Rome at Viocolo di Serpenti, Lane of the Serpent. That's not even funny, but it's weird. And so you would do well to use soul work techniques, shamans, for instance. Chiron's a shaman, soul retrieval work, non-ordinary healing technologies in order to uncover and unwind and reduce and snip and the thread of patterns from past lives and family of origin stories that are holding you back in life. It's a big soul work year for you. New beginnings in a chironic wounded place, right? Your eighth house, you've been wounded there since 2019. You might have wounds around inheritance monies. Maybe you spent it all and you shouldn't have. Wounds around shared monies with partners, in-law, family of origin monies, and some wounds you've been experiencing since 2019 with any kind of chunky money, including money for retirement or investment monies. Now, all that chironic wounds around the eighth house money stories is also coming to a new beginning and a fresh start. In other words, a turnaround story. Part of that can be also opened up through earnings, new sources of earnings and increases of earnings that help you heal wounds around money in your life in this year ahead. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Jupiter is witnessing this new beginning, new moon, Aries solar ingress from the house of great career gains. So I think new money sources, better career gains financially, more rewards. Now, if you don't have a career, you're retired or you want to retire, and that's a possibility, then you're still going to receive like what feels like pennies from heaven or windfall money this year by next March. Again, some of you are going to see that through spousal separation agreements, divorce settlements, inheritance monies as well. Inheritances can come from a solar figure, right, under the sky. An elder solar figure passing and you coming into some money, and it can feel like a bit of a yay moment, as well as shared monies with a spouse and their family of origin and inheritance from that side of the family if you have a spouse. All right. I wonder if you are, yeah, that's good. That's what we got. Industry, new industry, Pluto, death and rebirth, industria in the house of work. So again, maybe you're also going to change your industry. For years, you've worked like my girlfriend in the real estate industry. Now she could take up a new path of work, a new industry of work. For a lot of Virgos, this will be true. It's a turning point in that regard in this next astrological new year. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. It looks like a big change is coming. A new beginning, a dark moon plants a new seed in the house of committed and long-term business partnerships and love. And sometimes how you approach your marketplace and audience before the seventh house is 10th from the 10th. And in this regard, your public, in other words, there is a new beginning here. If you work in a field where you have to interact with a lot of people, clients, fans, and stuff, there's a change in the type of people that you interact with. If you're single, you are definitely looking at the possibility of a new beginning in a new relationship that wants to come your way. And if you're in a relationship, there's new beginnings in that relationship itself. When you look at the chironic wound and ask yourself if you've been wounded by business partner relationships, if you've been wounded by things connected to your marriage partnership choices or long-term love choices, and that is coming to an end. That started in 2019. This is going to end completely by 2027. And this kind of wounded vibe here, has a fresh start, but it also has the muse, Urania. So you want to be inspired by your business partnerships, inspired by how you interface with clients, audience, and marketplace, and inspired by your marriage type partnerships. And it also could indicate a healing in the life of a marriage partner, a chironic healing, especially around addictions because of Neptune, Saturn, and difficulties around escapist or addictive tendencies. And there may be a big new beginning in the life of a significant other as they ditch the habit pattern addiction story completely from their lives. You might also notice that the stellium, powerful seventh house energy, puts you very focused in the next 12 months, starting on March 20th of 26, on other people. I mean, you've got a lot of busyness in the house of significant people in your life. And what that is about, I just don't know. It could be you could even be focused just a lot on catering to the needs of other people. So be careful that you're not also forgetting about yourself. Venus is the ruler of your eighth house, a chunky money. That could be royalty income, investment monies, dividend shareholders, and all of that. And you have a well-star Uranus Elgul surprise there. But you could come into new clients, customers, audience people, those types of folk. Saturn, an elderly woman connected to Neptunian things like glamour, Hollywood, modeling, photography, filmmaking, storytelling. this type of person could come into your life this next 12 months and be very healing for you and help you create new beginnings of some sort. And because this moon in this part of the chart rules your career house, those are new professional beginnings. And you have Jupiter amplifying your success professionally, flowing to the work house in the North Node. So you're definitely looking at a good year ahead for your money, not your money, for your career and your work situation, right? But who's coming in to aid and abet that? Some types of people are coming in on that 7th house, busy, 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 busy sky. The sun ingresses into your 7th, of course, and is a natural ruler of your 11th house. So there are mechanisms that begin to positively change your career gains and career rewards. And you might get involved in America. There's a little asteroid, America, and Dionysius, the god of wine, but more like maybe an American, you passionately get involved with an American company or an American customer client. Just keep the word America or North America in mind if you're not in that part of the world at this time. You might consider you don't consider anything. Clotho and, sidekick Atropos are very active here. There may be some kind of thread or a cord cutting going on here. I'm sitting with what it might be, so you have to give me 30 seconds to think about it, okay? So the thread of life is connected to your siblings, and the snipping is connected to the family of origin. If you have an elder sibling, all right, because Venus is involved in the house of significant others, rules the house of death, you might experience a transition in the life of an elder sibling. That's what I'm going to go with, just for some of you. Elder, I don't mean a year older than you. I mean elder. Pluto, if you're entrepreneurial or artistic, you're going to start to develop new gifts and talents in another industry than you've expressed your talents in before. And it's, you have a talent for something, like say you have a talent for selling, and you've always used it for, I sell I sell appliances for your home, but now you're going to sell something completely different. So the industry is changing if you use your talents and gifts to create success in life, and the talent isn't changing, but the industry to which you apply your talent is likely to change. You'll notice that to be true, I hope, between now and next March. All right. I love Scorpio people. Scorpio sun, moon, and rising sign. Still waters do run very deep in you. And in your sky, you have a changing, new beginning, astrological new year in the work house. So I want you to go back to the chironic wound in the work house, is 2019, and in the debts house, carrying debt, owing money, anyone, to a person, a place, a bank, debts, indebtedness, work, wound, even wounds around pets and animals, and maybe wounds around even property and land if you rent it out or are a renter, landlord or rental properties or stories. And this ongoing chironic irritation since 2019. When Chiron is working properly, the key to purpose, we are in alignment with our life's natural gifts and talents. And yet you might have felt disgruntled and you're trying to find the way to this alignment, but you haven't quite got there. Now, in this sky, you're going to get a new beginning, a dark moon, a fresh start as well. So new beginning in the work environment is coming your way. The sun rules your 10th house of career, no doubt about it. There's something new coming to you. Yet at the same time, hard work, perseverance, you want to also be inspired. Venus would prefer, if she had her druthers, to get out of the office and work quietly at home or in the solitude space that she can find. And under this sky, so would Saturn. So there's a movement towards more time in the home, more time at home, maybe even getting a pet in the home, and spending time alone in order to acquire professional advancement. So you will be less connected to others, office space, and stuff like that. If you're thinking of a change of career or path, Pluto in the 4th house with industry could indicate entering into new professional industry by the end of next year, by May. You may change your industry, you may change the kind of work you do. And some of this may be coming through the word America, maybe working for an American company, firm, or coming into an American job situation. Even if you are American, this is America in your 10th house. Dionysius, what brings you pleasure, ecstasy, and sort of divine intoxication in your work? Probably none of us have that. Sometimes it's literal. You could work in the beer, beverage, and and intoxicant industry, you could get a job there. I like the idea here that you have a potential significant turning point of some kind when it comes to how you make money. You have the snipper Atropos in the earnings house, but she's flowing to the stellium in Aries for this ingress. And so I think the majority of you will snip or cut a type of income source connected to job and work in order to find something new. And in order to do that, the thread may take you into skills-based learning, right? Learning some new direction or a new skill in order to apply that to a new line or direction of work. If any of you are writers and want to write and publish, the Jupiter and the thread of life tell us that writing, communicating, marketing, selling, teaching, learning, traditionally those archetypes along the 9th and 3rd are directions that might really be, I'd encourage you to go professionally. All right. I think you'd find that would be what's going to happen anyway between now and the spring or March of 2027. All righty. And a little side story there. Some of you are probably having children or grandchildren show up by next April, thanks to Jupiter and that 5th house stellium. Expect it to be the return of someone from your family of origin who is coming back to the family, who has passed away, whether that's a new grandchild or a new child. All right, so look for clues that that person is someone you've known before. Hey, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Is this video getting extremely long? I'm not an AI bot. I think it's called studio lighting that gives me the blurry background. Now, on the 20th of March, we're going to see the sun ingress into the sign of Aries, and that will be trining you as it does every year on the beginning of the solar ingress reset. And this energy is going to bring you quite a strong possibility of a new beginning this time around, because we have a new or dark moon formed as well in your 5th house when this ingress occurs. This is going to indicate a new beginning with love, romance, creativity, entrepreneurial endeavors, and fertility and children. And so you could find yourself late in life with Saturn there. You're old and you don't think you're going to have kids. You could find yourself having children. Be careful if that's not what you want. Venus is a fertility goddess in the house of her joy, in the house of children. Now you've had a chironic wound in the house of children, fertility, romance, love, entrepreneurial and creative artistic endeavors, and the use of your natural talents and gifts. You felt wounded since 2019. I have a Sag friend who went into acting as an extra, was getting bigger and bigger roles, and then the pandemic hit, right, 2019-20, and wounded him in his expression of his natural gifts and talents. That's a shout out to you, Giorgio. And so there's a nice new beginning where you could be coming back into an alignment with your talents and gifts as a Sagittarius and humming it back up and getting it back online. If you're single and you're looking for romance and you haven't had a romantic relationship, then this could bring you somebody new, somebody that is very inspiring or very inspired or very creative and artistic in their own life, somebody who is maybe a bit soulmatey for you. And you could possibly think that you meet them through friendship circles or groups of belonging based on this chart. And if you're healing a chironic wound around love and relationship in particular, then this could bring you a new relationship connected to far off lands and distant shores, maybe even an international connection. You might meet somebody from another country. However, if this is to heal a chironic wound about relationship and your current partner is from another country, that's important to note. We have Mars cutting and severing in the 4th house with Mercury, ruler of the marriage house. It could bake in a potential closure of a long-term relationship over the next 12 months. And maybe a separation of home. Somebody moves out, somebody, divides the home, division of assets in a marital situation, especially with Jupiter in your 8th house. That can definitely look like the classic, splitting of the money, the bounty, but also you should do well. Jupiter is dignified, direct, and visible. So if you're pondering separating your money out, that's good. This can also bring you a year in which money is coming to you courtesy of your family of origin, including inheritances, including money from a sibling, one younger or two younger, or one older. Those are all implicated here. So you might come into some money this year or some land or property as well. or as I said, extract what's yours from the relationship that is ending as well. But it is a new beginning in love. And so even if one relationship ends, maybe it's because a new beginning has started elsewhere, if you know what I mean. So there is that story here as well, especially if you're in a secret love affair elsewhere, which happens to people. If you are thinking of, if you do any social media online work, or you're marketing, selling, teaching as a part of your livelihood, you might go into a new industry, Pluto, wealth, and rebirth with Industria. You might change your industry. Saturn says change your industry towards artistic, creative, entrepreneurial types of things. He's in your 5th house. But, maybe it's more like because you fall from the 11th house, you do this, like South Node is up there. You just had an eclipse here. And so on March 3rd. So a lot of you could like leave behind one professional direction and get ready to move into a new one by next March. And another one would be learning, taking a class to learn a new industry, a new skill. And the third thing I'd say is, unfortunately, the 10th house South Node can be the, loss in the reputation. Like I'm married, I'm divorced, like there can be a status downgrade. I mean, most people aren't proud about divorce. So status downgrade. I'm employed, I'm unemployed, I'm married, I'm unmarried. That kind of thing could happen here in the next 12 months. Still, if you wanted to be artistic or creative and use your natural talents and gifts, there is a new moon, new beginning here. They could help you seed that for yourself. And for some of you, it could indicate the best way to get that on board is to take some education or study or courses that allow you to strengthen your ability to express that talent and gift in the world. All right, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. The sky tells us that you have a fresh start and a new beginning. And that fresh start and that new beginning is occurring for you as there is a solar ingress that lasts a year, March the 20th of 2026, that also hooks you up to a new moon. Okay, I'm going to go back by a day so we can get the picture to look correct for you. It's on the 20th. It has a new, I can't do it. Okay, just trust me. If I go back a day, I lose it. The moon is in your 4th house on the ingress. So the new beginning, fresh start is at home, in the home, connected to the home. Go back, get into mom and dad, especially the mother wound, family of origin wounds, ancestral wounds, and just a wound around home. And you've been feeling chironically wounded there, maybe since 2019. And now you're going to try to heal that wound with this new year beginning through till next March, because you have this whole ingress once in a lifetime, first in a lifetime, Saturn, Neptune, to make a dream real, to go to a long-lasting home. I can't be literal, like Aries can be somewhere hot or somewhere remote and on a frontier land connected to water. Neptune connected to volcanoes. Neptune in Aries connected to high hills and mountains and rocky shores. Some of the Saturnian element. So some of you're moving, basically. It is a big deal here. Hang on, I need liquid. A big deal. It's a big deal. As well, you might feel under this energy in the next 12 months that you need to find some sense of inspiration, and you want to tap a deep root within your family of origin, connected to maybe your own talents and gifts that you were born with from your family of origin, because maybe you have not had a chance in this lifetime to use those natural talents and gifts, and now something's got to give. And so this could open you up to a huge shift around being able to tap your natural abilities and be able to express them in this world with inspiration and enthusiasm, and ultimately and eventually maybe translate that into a new professional direction. Venus in the 4th house is female in the home. And yet we also have constriction and hardship with Saturn and some chironic wounds. If there's a woman you live with, or maybe some wounded qualities to that relationship over the course of the next 12 months. Now, the moon is the ruler of your marriage house. Jupiter is trying to protect you there and give you goodness and bounty and direction. He's direct motion and visible on this ingress. And the moon yet is with the chironic wound in the house of home. Relationship challenges are connecting to childhood issues is the code, but also you could be living in domicile with a female, some of you, and it may not be going so well. And you may need to look more closely at what you want to do with this relationship, because Saturn is the reaper as well. There is a possibility under this sky, because you are having Industria and Pluto in the second house, that you could come into some new sense of a new industry in which a livelihood can be pursued. Working in a different area in order to create money could bring you into a directional shift professionally, if you have profession this year. And Pluto brings wealth in a new industry as well. So that's not too shabby. And some of you may discover a new industry work in from your home or close to your home, or connected to something that your mother or father did, drawing on the family line. You have this energy of this cutter of the thread of life in your hand. You are holding the cutter of the thread of life, like you are a tropos. You're willing to snip and cut something that needs to come to a close, a little like a snipper cutter in your hand. You can aim that cutter anywhere. You can aim it at a significant love relationship. You can aim it at people you live with. You can aim it at your home and where you want to go. You're going to cut away from where you currently live. You can snip the threads in those places. With the asteroid of the thread itself, the thread of life, not the cutter of the thread. This is the thread. This is the cutter. You are the cutter. There is also the thread of life, actually, from which it's being cut in your 12th house. You may cut self-undoing addictions, bad habits, and patterns, karmic and past life and ancestral stories, right? Those are things you could choose to also cut out and cut away from in this lifetime, in this next 12 months. You could come into some money connected to the asteroid America in your 8th house. And you could come into a possibility of some financial success coming from maybe a sibling, 3 older, 3 younger, or just siblings in general. And I do want to mention that because you also have Venus ruling your 5th house, and she's with this new beginning and also the chironic wound, there could be two things. There could be a grandchild coming in the next year, and there could also be a new relationship coming in the next year that surprises you. It knocks you off your feet and is completely outside the box of anything you would ever consider before. There could be a significant age difference as well, because she's with Saturn. So there's something for those of you who are looking for a relationship that could have that flavor for you. And you'll do a lot more travel this year, March to March, than you normally do. A lot more gallivanting, domestically probably, but maybe even internationally. As a theme of the sky, it shows a lot more getting about and going about and taking trips here and there. Some of it for love and romance or children-related matters. Some of it could be for professional reasons as well. All right, let's keep on keeping on. Ay. So I don't eat wheat, guys. But I ate wheat, and I've been trying to deal with the aftermath of, sometimes I can get some good old Caputo flour from Italy, or any Italian flour, or any flour or grains from Europe, and I'm fine. And sometimes whatever I did I shouldn't have done didn't work. It was an Italian pappardelle that was made in Italy, but I swear they imported their flour from North America. Ugh. All right, Aquarius, I am one of you, sun, moon, and rising sign. I'm a real person, guys. I talk about myself all the time because otherwise I'm bored stiff just talking about the chart. There you go. And no, I'm not a narcissist according to my chart. All right, I'm just autistic. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising, and I'm Aquarius rising, so I am one of you. Hey, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Help my channel grow. Aquarius, it looks to me like first of all, you got a new beginning, because it's a solar ingress, and it indicates there's a lot of fresh beginnings for you, connected to your 3rd house, so connected to things that you care about. But this new beginning, because it happens every year, is really connected to also a new moon. So it's doubling down on the potency. It's a fresh start, new beginning, connected to your writing, your communicating, your teaching, your learning, your marketing, your selling, connected to what you do with your arms and hands, connected to your social media platforms and outreach. Okay, so there's not just the sun here every year, it's there, but it's also that the moon is now new when this happens, dark moon in the 3rd house. Chironic wound here since 2019 regarding all the 3rd house theme, including wounds that may have emerged in your relationship with your siblings. And now there's a new beginning. you want to be inspired. The muse is here. Venus is here. She's like, I want to be inspired. And you should be inspired by your writing, your teaching, your learning, your communicating, your online life, your local neighborhood and enjoyment of that. You want some inspiration because the muse is with Venus, and Venus is like working too hard, right? For God's sake, she's been exiled from the ninth house of dharmic purpose. She's hunkered down with Saturn, which is going to indicate maybe some constriction of enjoyment in the daily tasks and routines of your life. And so there's a call to make a change around that. And you may be already resonating with some of this because Chiron's been tinkering around there for a while, giving you challenges. This is a short distance travel house or domestic travel. Chironic wound, for example, during the pandemic, for some of us was we weren't allowed in Canada to go anywhere without a particular stamp of approval, which I didn't have. So you can see how this wound has been there for a while. It's going to be gone in 2027 for good, so no worries. But in the meantime, you're still figuring out the last dredges of it. This new beginning, new start, because Venus is artistic and creative, right? That's one of her gigs, and she rules your publishing house. So I think a lot of you might look at trying to really work on a publishing opportunity, a writing opportunity, a book publishing opportunity, or even a desire to move to another place or travel extensively where you can be more inspired, maybe taking big time outs internationally, going to pilgrimages, maybe taking writing retreats, for example. I could definitely vibe with that. And the other thing I would say is you could definitely consider a new beginning and a new moon energy, which is happening March 21st in the third house, could be a new home within the current town or city that you live, because this is a neighborhood. So a new beginning in a new neighborhood. And with Jupiter witnessing the new beginning, this is positive, right? Did I say sextile before? Square, but he's witnessing the new beginning. So this is like, okay, an auspicious new beginning. Well, I'm moving to a 2-bedroom home, so I can actually have a dedicated recording area away from my living room. So that could be an auspicious new beginning that was already baked in, even though I've got the lease already for June. The move is after this July, you see. You could start something extremely inspired artistically and creatively with great vision and maturity and perseverance and discipline. Listen for the muse. Don't try to do it otherwise. As a content creator, some days I wake up totally inspired, or even on Substack, to be here for you. And other days I feel like I'm doing a job, right? And probably you can tell the difference. You're here to lean into the muse, the ninth muse, to be inspired, to tap the inspiration within, before you begin, before you settle into whatever this endurance marathon of creative energy is in your third house for writing and teaching and communicating, sometimes marketing and selling and communicating of all kinds. This solar ingress, ruled by Mars in your money house, is definitely pointing towards an increased north node of financial gain through self-starter entrepreneurial endeavors. Some motivation and passion needed and will be arriving. And you'll notice that Industria and Pluto are with you. So professionally, you may express your I am sun, moon, and rising as Aquarius in a new industry that you haven't before been a part of, or you're just being very industrious in your work and working very hard. And the new moon would support really hard in new beginnings, dark moon in the third house. I wonder, because you have a tropos, the snipper of the thread of life in the 12th house, you might snip some threads that aren't good for you, that are connected to, well, the thread of life, friendship circles and career gains, but also 12th house themes. You might snip away addiction, self-undoing, bad habits, and karmic vows and patterns from the past. And I like the thread of life up here because the snipper snips from here. So what are you snipping away that has to do with your career gains in particular? The gains of the 10th house are in the 11th. So you might choose to eliminate or remove certain earnings features from the way you operate in your work and livelihood over the course of the next year. Yet Jupiter can be very protective because he's in your livelihood and work house, allows you to increase your employees if you have them successfully next year, and also to benefit from your own joy and enjoyment and expansion and growth in work and livelihood matters. over the next 12 months. This is not the best chart, but it's not the worst chart for a new relationship, because the sun ingressing into Aries every year always points to your Leo 7th house of relationship, but not normally do you get a new moon that forms on the same day, and Venus, right? And Venus is like, okay, love. There may be some love that could come to you because of a change of residence or domicile to a new city or neighborhood, or within your country, or because of just meeting somebody in the local neighborhood. Now, with Saturn, Venus together, it could be someone with a difference of age that's somewhat significant, usually minimum 6-7 years, minimum 7 years younger or older. But there is that as well. And if that happens, that happens. If you're looking for a relationship, it could also come for travel. You might be traveling or they're traveling and thus you meet. Or you could meet somebody, if you're a social media beast like I am, in your social media landscape, including Zoom calls and classrooms and teaching environments. But because all of this is so weird that Venus is sitting, right? You got to pay attention. You got to notice where she's coming from. She does exalt your earnings. And so, yeah, be careful, because I find Venus here, she's in exile with Saturn in fall. The warning signal for the next year is new beginnings in the 3rd house, right? But you may be working too hard. You might be too much, it could dry you out and drain you in some way. You might make more money, but you're like totally exhausted. So the ticket to success is to listen to the muse. If you're entrepreneurial, you could have a new business partnership from somebody in and from America. America is in the house of business partners, or you could fall in love with a new relationship partner. Venus is trining America from America. And Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, last but not least. And then we're off to the members only extended section. This is a very long video. Please give me a like and subscribe. I kind of want you to think about how you're having a fresh start and a brand new beginning, which you are, in your money house. And it's the new moon attending to the solar ingress that indicates a fresh start, and a dark moon here. So, the moon is dark still, right? It is going to be in your 2nd house. So there's a freshness or a seed planting. You don't know the way right away. It's kind of dark, right? You're like, I don't know how to get to the new direction with my earnings, but there is a new beginning here. You want to be inspired or enthusiastic about the nature of how you make money. Thank you, Urania. The 9th muse is here. And you also might find yourself dealing with a pressure cooker too, because Saturn is obligation, duty, and responsibility. And Venus is exiled from relying on spousal money, government checks, inheritances, or other monies that normally can come from the 8th house. And all of a sudden, spousal money is not coming through. You're going to take up the slack and carry a burden maybe. Or, you thought you could rely on some kind of money that you didn't earn. And I think this is going to put you more in a work mode. Now, good news about working hard here, as long as you're inspired, you're going to do really well, right? You're going to find your way in this new beginning, fresh start, witnessed by Jupiter in the house of good fortune. So your efforts, especially if they're entrepreneurial, artistic, or creative, can bring you into higher and higher levels of professional success financially as well. And, Jupiter does rule the 10th house. So a lot of it looks like a professional up level. The downside would be working too hard or feeling burdened or too responsible for making money and not enjoying it, but you can enjoy it. You just have to tap the muse. If it's inspired money making, then you're going to be just fine. Asteroid America in the 6th house could get you into work, employed in America, or working with American employees, or having livelihood and work matters connected to Asteroid America, and more money, different money, enjoying money, making money. I kind of want you to notice that you have Industria and Pluto for wealth in the 12th house, wealth from an industry connected to a distant shore or foreign land. In our modern world, this looks like digital income, borrowless revenue, PayPal, and Stripe. It's that simple too. You don't have to get import and export or shipping lanes open. You just hit your, digital income money-making storylines, and you're going to look really good if that's something you do. There is something about cutting a cord and the thread of life. You've got the actual life thread in the top of your sky up here in your 10th house, and you could see the snipping in the 11th cord cutter. It's possible it's just simply a story that you're going to snip or cut a cord connected to a particular gain or earning strategy from your career. You're going to let one come to a close so that something new can occur. You've got some like focus on a significant long-term love relationship, the South Node in your 7th, kind of baking in a vibe this year. So be careful around your attitude towards your partner might be more aggressive and more verbally aggressive than usual. You might have less patience or less stamina for dealing with whatever they're going through. And Mercury rules your marriage house. So if you're in a long-term relationship, you speaking harshly or harsh words spoken, cutting words spoken by you can be an ongoing theme, right? And you're dealing with some healing, maybe physically, mentally, emotionally with Imhotep in your sign. So especially for the Pisces rising, but sun and moon as well. Emotional healing, Pisces moon. Professional healing, Pisces sun, healing of your identity and body and all that, Pisces rising. And all of that gets kind of baked into the next year. And maybe you're focused on you, North Node, and working on your own healing, and your partner can feel like drag or lift, and you're trying to get lift, and there's a chain and ball around you want to get healed, you want to do your thing, you want to move in your own right direction, and you just get dragged down. Do not do facial rejuvenation, because this solar ingress in your 2nd house, which happens every year, the house of the face, has a Venus in exile and a fallen Saturn. You won't get the results you want, all right? So stay away from facial rejuvenation techniques and tools throughout this next 12 months. I would avoid it like the plague if this was my sky. Chironic wounding, right? In your money, earnings, resources, facial appearance, and dietary style since 2019. The last thing you want to do is tackle a facial fix with a fallen Venus for beauty. Exiled Venus and a fallen Saturn for like the lack of long-term results that look good on you. just saying, wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole if I were you. You're making a lot of decisions this year, but you're wiffle waffle. You change your mind a lot. You go, I want this, I want that. And in your relationship, unfortunately, you might be on and off, hot and cold. You might think it's going to work and then you don't. You might want to divorce and then you don't. You might want to stay together and then you're not sure. You're going to go through a lot of that energy this year, March to March. It doesn't mean you're going to break up, but it means you keep changing your mind, I think, about it all. You're not sure what you really want here. You might have a grandchild or a child being born to you this year as well, as another thought. Okay, that's another big story that looks like it's baked into the whole of the chart. This new beginning, though, this fresh start with the sun, moon version of reality also speaks to the potential of a new beginning regarding a child or a grandchild, and maybe some financial responsibility that you're going to incur regarding that situation, whether it's your child or it's going to be a grandchild. And that could be feeling like you're working hard to dutifully support your grandchild or child narrative, coming up this year throughout till March of 2027. All right, we made it through. We made it through the all signs portion of the solar ingress, Aries reset button. Please like and subscribe. I put a lot of time into this video. Now we're going to talk to the members only, and the members only community section. We're talking all about Tel Aviv and also, what was the other place? Tehran, the 2 T's, and what the solar ingress chart says about the situation ongoing in the war and how we might make some stories about it.